Shocking secrets. Why the Book of Enoch is still banned from the Bible today. In the dimly lit corner of a dusty library, cloaked in shadows and secrets, the Book of Enoch sits, collecting dust, yet pulsating with an energy that feels almost palpable. This ancient text of forbidden tone whispers truths too incredible to be shared. It said that the wisdom within could upend everything we think we know about heaven and earth. The very thought sends shivers down the spine. Why, after all this time, does this book remain locked away, hidden from those who seek the light? As whispers circulate, tales emerge of the book's origins, visions of strange angels, the fallen ones who descended to earth and ignited a firestorm of chaos. They reveal deep secrets about humanity, intertwining our fate with celestial beings. How can such potent knowledge be ignored? It's scandalous. People say it's filled with prophecies predicting the end of days. Picture this: the ground shaking beneath your feet and shadows swallowing the light. What kind of explosive truths lurk in its pages? And there's more. Hidden within the text are stories of giants, massive beings who once roamed the earth, their thunderous footsteps echoing through time. People say they built cities of silver and gold, and some even whisper they still walk among us, veiled in the veil of normalcy. But what's more unsettling is the fear of what these tales might unleash. If revealed, could they shatter the very foundations of faith? That's when things get really tense. Researchers have gone missing, scholars have faced cruel fates, and entire libraries have burned to the ground under suspicious circumstances. Why? Because of a single ancient manuscript? The chills race up your spine as the question hangs in the air. What really lies within those fateful pages? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But the mystery only thickens. There have been sightings of rare scholars who claim they are guardians of this book, standing guard over its secrets. They glimmer with a strange intensity, their eyes filled with a fervor most cannot understand. Is that what they mean when they say knowledge is power? Or is it something far more dangerous? The clock ticks as the secrets of the Book of Enoch threaten to spill into our world, waiting, lurking, and ready to be unleashed. What will happen when the truth confronts the fragile grasp of our reality? In the depths of the library's shadows, the air thickened with an almost electric tension. Ethan lit his last candle, illuminating the dust motes swaying like trapped souls. Each flicker felt like a heartbeat, drumming a sinister rhythm that gnawed at him. He was drawn to that forbidden book like a moth to the flame. He knew the risks. He could still hear the murmurs of his peers warning him. But the lure of uncovering the truths of the Book of Enoch intensified with each passing moment. He carefully pulled the book from its shelf, thick layers of dust swirling in the air as if trying to protect it. The cover was worn, inscribed with strange symbols that seemed to shift under his gaze. What did the ancients know that brought about this secrecy? He took a deep breath and opened it, the musty smell wafting up like a long-forgotten secret. Words spilled across the pages, their flow enchanting yet alarming. Each line seemed to pulse. His heart raced when he stumbled upon the tale of the Watchers, angels who descended from heaven, their insatiable desires bringing ruin. They intertwined with humankind, leading to chaos and bloodshed. Could these fallen angels be the giants people whispered about in the dark? Ethan felt a cold shiver creeping up his spine, but it was the forecast of destruction that truly chilled him. Prophecies that foretold of a final judgment, a time when the earth would shake, and beings will rise again, sowing fear and despair among the living. As he read, images danced in his mind, tremendous shadows casting over cities, the ground splitting beneath frantic feet, and walls crumbling like old promises. He shut the book, panic clenching his chest. Had he gone too far? The stories weren't just tales of ancient times, they were warnings. The atmosphere thickened with dread. It felt like he had disrupted something sleeping, something that could awaken and wreak havoc. Just as he mulled over the implications, a loud crash echoed from the hallway, slicing through the silence, causing his instincts to flare. "Who is there?" he called out, his voice quaking against the walls. But only silence answered back, thick and suffocating. With cautious steps, he ventured to the door, peeking through the small window. Shadows flitted in the dim light, darting away like phantoms. Were those the guardians of the book? Or was it someone or something far worse on the prowl? Ethan could feel his heart thumping louder, drowning out every whisper of logic in his mind. Suddenly, the heavy door rattled behind him. He whipped back to the book, its pages whispering his name, urging him to understand. What was he supposed to do now? Knowledge felt heavy, like a shackle locking him in place. Yet he knew he couldn't walk away. He had come too far. Movement in the corridor pulled him back. The shadows grew darker, looming nearer. Ethan, a voice called, soft yet fierce, reverberating through him. The familiar voice sent a frigid wave of dread through his core. It was Sarah, his colleague from the archaeology department, who had mysteriously disappeared a week ago while searching for the same book. What warning lay behind her arrival? Before he could digest the influx of emotions, the lights flickered, plunging him into darkness. The only sound was the rustling of pages in the stillness, beckoning him deeper into an unknown that had suddenly become all too real. What twisted game was fate playing? Would the knowledge gleaned from the Book of Enoch save him or seal his doom? The world outside felt like a distant echo, and he stood at the precipice of unimaginable truths. Time was running out, but what choice did he really have? As the shadows closed in, his grip tightened on the book, ready to confront whatever horrors awaited. What awaited him in that darkness might change everything. But did he have the courage to face the looming battle between light and shadow? With each pulse of energy from the book, Ethan knew a reckoning was near. What would happen when the ancient powers converged in the world above? Would he be willing to pay the price for the truth? The flickering candle illuminated only fragments of the library, turning the shadows into grotesque figures. Ethan pressed his back against the wall, trying to steady his racing heart. Sarah's voice echoed in his mind, tension weaving through the air like a thick fog. How had she returned? Was she even truly here, or was this another trick of the darkness? Ethan, the urgency in her voice sent needles of dread into him. "Sarah, where are you?" he whispered, keeping his voice low, aware that the very walls might listen. He could feel his mind spiraling, both relief and terror battling within him. Quiet steps drew closer, and Ethan strained to hear, muscles tense. Memories played in his head, her laughter, the thrill of their joint discoveries, and then, darkness. That last dig had cost her everything. The truth felt like a shackle, pulling him back. Ethan, the voice rang out again, now desperate and pleading. Suddenly, a blinding light sparked in the corner of the room, illuminating the cover of the Book of Enoch he still clutched tightly. The light flickered and morphed, and Ethan's breath hitched. From the shadows, "We return to you." Sarah's voice twisted, distorting into something unfamiliar. He stumbled back, panic surging. "What have you become?" Ethan's voice cracked. "You went into the past searching for the truth, but what happened to you?" The edges of the light flickered again, and Sarah materialized. Her eyes burned with an unnatural blaze, that familiar warmth now extinguished. "You shouldn't have touched it, Ethan. It's not just a book. It's a gate." A gate? The implications clawed at Ethan's mind. The words left him shaken. A gate to what? What did you find? They're here now. Her gaze darted to the corners of the room, fear painted across her face. "The Watchers are awake, and they're hunting for those who know." His grip on the book tightened further. "No, I want to let them take this knowledge from me. I have to understand." Sarah recoiled. "You don't get it. Knowledge is power, but it can also lead to chaos." The temperature dropped, and a low growl vibrated through the library's foundation as if the floor itself protested Ethan's declarations. Books fell like autumn leaves in a storm, and shadows crawled across the walls, morphing into monstrous shapes. Panic twisted his stomach into knots. But there, in the center, the Book of Enoch glowed, pulsating with an energy he could almost taste, a bitter sweetness that promised truth. Just then, the door slammed shut, trapping them inside. The shadows twisted, longing to snatch the only light in their darkened existence. Ethan could feel the pull of the book, the connection between him and the ancient text tangling deeper with every throb of its pulse. Ethan. Sarah's horrified shout cut through the growing chaos. But he couldn't break free from the book's grasp. Suddenly, the lights flickered again, and a skeleton of a figure appeared, ethereal and ominous, its hollow face staring straight at him. The air grew dense with despair, squeezing around him like a vice. Unravel the secrets, or be consumed by the truth, it hissed, gliding closer, vaporous fingers reaching out. Time was trickling away. Ethan faced a terrifying choice. Would he uncover the forbidden knowledge and risk his very soul? Or would he destroy the book, severing the thread that bound him to this darkness? It was a risk. But wasn't every discovery fraught with peril? The wave of shadows pressed nearer, coiling around his legs. As he looked from Sarah to the ghostly figure, Ethan's resolve hardened. Let them come, he shouted. The intensity of the moment surged within him, igniting a fire he thought had long died out. I will challenge the darkness. Would his defiance awaken more than mere knowledge? The shadows surged, mouths opening wide, and an ancient roar rang out, drowning all rational thought. The looming battle was inevitable, but at what cost? Within the chaos, Ethan sensed the trials that lay ahead. What horrifying truths would he uncover, and who would he become in that process? And as the air shattered with piercing screams from both the shadows and within himself, Ethan braced for a confrontation that could change everything. Would the truth grant him power, or would it cost him his humanity? The shadows clawed at Ethan, their edges flickering and dancing like flames yearning to consume him. His heart raced, each beat a drum calling him into battle. The figure floated nearer, eyes hollow, beckoning him to the brink of darkness with a voice as ragged as the whispers of the wind outside. Ethan could feel the weight of the Book of Enoch pulling him, its energy vibrating through his fingers. A siren's call, demanding attention and obedience. Knowledge is power, he repeated, his voice barely audible over the cacophony. But chaos weighed in the balance, and dread lingered thick in the air. His mind spun with questions. Could he truly bear the responsibilities that the book demanded? Ethan, you have to listen to me. Sarah's voice cut through the haze, desperation lacing her words. You can't trust it. The truth it gives can't be unlearned. It will destroy you. I need to know what's at stake. He shouted, anger and fear mingling inside him. You once sought these answers, Sarah? What stopped you? Her form shivered, flickering like a weak light. I thought I could harness it. But the Watchers, Ethan. A violent blast of wind erupted from the shadows, slamming into Ethan's chest and forcing him to stumble back. The ghostly figure laughed, a sound that reverberated through the library, echoing off the bookshelves like a taunt. Foolish mortal, it mocked. You think you can control the knowledge that eludes your kind? The Watchers are bound by ancient vows, but now they scent your fear and desperation. They will come for you. He gritted his teeth, adrenaline spiking through him. The thought of being hunted, of losing everything he valued, ignited fury in his gut. But I can't just back away. Not when it's all within my grasp. Don't be a coward. Sarah's voice rose, echoing fractured emotions. Don't let the desire for power blind you to the truth. With a quick intake of breath, Ethan glanced at the book, radiant and pulsating, each heartbeat echoing with the promise of enlightenment. Then at Sarah, her features etched with pain, fear reflected in her eyes. Different realities swirled before him, momentarily blurring his vision. Choose. The figure screeched, the shadows thrumming around it. Choose before the darkness swallows your heart. Ethan's thoughts cascaded, a montage of promises, friendship, ancient truths, and unending torment. Faces flashed before him, loved ones whose futures he could alter or doom. He felt caught between two worlds, teetering on the edge of revelation and ruin. Will you break the cycle? Sarah whispered, her face hovering between anguish and hope. Will you save us both? He stared back into the shadows, his instinct to conquer rising with every whispered threat. I want to be afraid. He stepped forward, face determined, challenging the darkness around him. I will make this decision with my own hands. The spectral figure paused, darkness swirling fiercely in its wake. Then embrace the end, or defy the origin of your own darkness. Suddenly, the library walls began to pulse, glowing with eerie energy, shaking with the weight of ancient knowledge. The candle flickered violently, and shadows danced like celebrants hungry for devouring the light. "What is happening?" Ethan gasped, the book feeling heavier now. A sinister laugh filled the room. "As the veil tethers, so does your fate entwine with the truth. It will spell your salvation or your absolute doom." The shadows coiled impossibly closer, their chilling whispers growing louder, laced with promises of power and despair. Ethan's breath quickened. Could he really embrace this? Would this knowledge heal or harm? And as the very fabric of reality twisted around him, Ethan was struck with one terrifying realization. He couldn't escape. His choice had never been about the book. It was about himself. In the brewing storm of chaos and urgency, something trembled deep within Ethan, doubt and determination battling for supremacy. Could he truly bear the burden of knowing, or would it drag him into the abyss alongside Sarah? The question hung in the air, heavy and unresolved, as the shadows lunged forward. Ethan's heart thundered as the shadows lunged, a grotesque wave of darkness piercing the thin veil of reality. He braced for impact, the book's energy surging with wild ferocity in his grip, almost as if it were coming alive. "Ethan," Sarah's voice rang out, firm yet shaking. "You must remember who you are. This isn't just about what the book reveals, it's about what you might lose." The shadows wrapped around him, like icy fingers trailing across his skin. Fear and indignation warred within him. "I refuse to be a pawn in this game," he yelled, forcing his way through the oppressive fog. He felt the pull of the book intensify, a desperate plea echoing deep within. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. A blinding light erupted from the tome, illuminating the library and casting back the encroaching figures. Shadows hissed and recoiled, as if stung. Ethan clutched the book tighter, astonished by its power. The phantasm before him shrieked in fury, melting into the darkness that swarmed the room. "Foolish child, this is just the beginning. The Watchers will not let you slip away so easily." But Ethan felt something in himself, stirring a flicker of courage ignited by that blinding light. "It's not about escaping," he shouted, voice ringing amidst the chaos. "It's about standing my ground." The shadows writhed as he spoke, the air crackling with energy. Each word fueled the soft glow radiating from the book, illuminating Sarah's worried face, revealing not just fear, but an unexpected flicker of hope. "Don't you see?" Ethan continued, grounding himself against the weight of their looming dread. "This knowledge doesn't just bind me. It gives me the chance to break free." He felt the truth settle. Grasping for power was not just about control, but empowerment to protect those he loved. But the figure resurfaced, looming larger and even more grotesque than before. "You think you can defy fate? The Watchers own your legacy, Ethan. Do you not understand? Knowledge comes with a price." Then, as if on cue, the entire library trembled. Books fell from shelves, pages fluttering like frightened birds caught in a storm. Anxiety pulsed in his chest, but he refused to yield. "If I must pay a price, then so be it. I will not be subdued by shadows." The light from the book intensified, swallowing the dark figure whole. A guttural roar echoed, vibrating through the very soul of the library. The spectral being was no match for Ethan's resolve, and as the darkness dissipated, so too did the sense of doom that littered the air, but the victory felt hollow. The fleeting silence settled like a blanket over him, starkly contrasted with the chaotic chaos that had just unfolded. He scanned the now quiet space, heart racing. What had he truly unleashed? Was this power a gift, or the first step into an abyss he could never return from? Sarah stepped forward, uncertainty clouding her expression. "Ethan, what did you just do?" Before he could respond, the book began to pulse in a rhythmic tempo, each beat resonating with an urgency he couldn't ignore. It hummed, deep and powerful, vibrating against his palms, calling for deeper understanding. In that moment, a sense of foreboding washed over him. There was more to this knowledge than he had anticipated. Something was waiting to be revealed, and it beckoned from the depths. What other secrets lie within? He whispered, almost to himself. The shadows receded, sullen, but Ethan felt their remnants still lingering, like a spider lurking in the corner. What had been unleashed far outweighed his comprehension, and then, without warning, the library door swung open, slamming against the wall. A figure stood silhouetted in the entrance, shadowed and menacing. Even the voice slithered through the dim light. "You've made a grave mistake, and now it's time to pay your debts." Cold dread gripped him. The veil between knowledge and destruction was paper thin, and this was only the beginning of a storm that threatened to unravel everything he held dear. What had he truly awakened, and who stood before him in the hallway? Ethan's breath hitched in his throat, the weight of that voice pressing down on him like a shroud. The figure remained half-hidden in the doorway, yet every instinct screamed at him to flee. But there was nowhere to go. The library, once a sanctuary for knowledge, now felt like a cage, its walls closing in around him. "Who are you?" Ethan managed to stammer, every syllable quaking in his chest. The silhouette stepped forward, revealing a woman with piercing eyes of vibrant blue that seemed almost unnatural. Her hair flowed like shadows dancing against the faint light. "You already know me, Ethan. I've been watching, always watching." A chill skated down his spine. He had been touched by the arcane, thrumming with the raw energy of the book, and now the consequences rippled outward like a stone thrown into still water. "What do you want?" Sarah demanded, her voice shaking but fierce. She stood firm beside him, sharing the burden of uncertainty and fear. The woman smiled, though it sent ice racing through Ethan's veins. "Do you not understand? The knowledge you've tapped into can't be contained. It shakes the very foundation of our existence. The Watchers will come for it. They do not take kindly to breaches in their world. Why should I care about them?" Ethan's anger flared up, ignited by fear and desperation. "This is my life. I have the right to choose." "Choice," she echoed, almost mockingly. "That is an illusion. The moment you opened the book, you chained yourself to a fate far greater than your own." Ethan clenched his fists, the book feeling alive against his skin, thrumming louder now, urging him to delve deeper into its depths. He glanced at Sarah, who shook her head ever so slightly, panic mingling with determination in her wide eyes. The woman took another step forward, close enough now that Ethan could see the deep shadows etched around her features, almost like the darkness was alive. "You have awoken forces you cannot comprehend. You've set the clock ticking, Ethan. They will come, and when they do, enough." Ethan's voice shattered the tense air like glass. "I refuse to be a passive character in this nightmare. I will fight." A low, throaty laugh erupted from the woman, sending tremors down his spine. "Fight? You think you can defy destiny? The very Book of Enoch represents truths that mankind was never meant to wield. And now, you are part of this saga." The shadows around her began to shift anxiously, seeping towards Ethan. "With great power comes great darkness. They are inseparable," she whispered, a warning woven within her dark charm that he swallowed hard. The fear was a burning thing in his chest now, a flame sparked by ignorance and fate alike. "What should I do then?" he asked, barely above a whisper. Her smile widened, an unsettling arc that seemed to bridge the chasm between chaos and comprehension. "You must seek the truth beyond the lies, find the missing pieces of your legacy. They are not just in the book, they are in you. And it is the only way to find your salvation." The shadows swarmed again, this time painting the library in hues of despair. Ethan's mind raced. Could he really dive deeper into this abyss? "Are you prepared to learn your true history?" The woman's voice slid into his mind like a serpent, tempting yet venomous. He hesitated. "What do I have to lose?" "Everything," she whispered, and the shadows around her surged like a storm ready to break. And then, the sudden screech of old wood-on-wood echoed through the space, sending a shockwave of terror through them all. The library doors slammed shut, sealing their fate within. "Welcome to the beginning of your reckoning," she chuckled, eyes shimmering ominously as darkness enveloped them all. Ethan felt the book pulse violently, its beckoning growing fierce. Was he ready for the answers it held, answers that could either illuminate or destroy everything he cared about? As the shadows danced closer, he looked deep into the woman's eyes, desperation threading through him. Would he stand firm against an unraveling legacy, or would he tiptoe into the very shadows he sought? To escape? The question loomed heavy in the air, and with it, an unspoken fear echoed in the dark. What if salvation was a lie? What if the truth he sought was far worse than the nightmare already unfolding? The moment the library doors slammed shut, a deafening silence filled the room. The flickering lights above cast garish shadows, twisting into monstrous shapes that danced menacingly on the walls. Ethan's fingers tightened around the book, his heartbeat matching its erratic thrum. "Ethan, we need to get out of here." Sarah's voice cut through the tension, breaking the spell of paralysis that the woman had cast over them. She darted towards the door, only to find it unfathomably solid, refusing to even budge. The woman stepped closer, her eyes glowing with a predatory hunger. "There's no escape here, my dear. This library is now your battleground." "Battleground?" Ethan's voice cracked. "What do you mean?" "The clash between your will and the forces that will soon arrive to reclaim what you have stolen. It will be a fight for your life," she said, her tone dripping with dark amusement. Suddenly, the shadows around them thickened, swirling like a storm. Ethan could feel them reaching for him, tendrils of darkness that brushed against his skin, sending chills down his spine. "Do you feel that?" she continued, reveling in his terror. "You can either embrace your birthright or let it consume you. The choice is yours." Ethan looked at Sarah, desperation threading through him. "What if she's right? What if we can't fight this?" "No, we can't give in. There has to be a way out," she said, her eyes wild with fear and determination. "Desperation will do you no favors," the woman said smoothly. "You must confront the knowledge within the book and understand what it is to truly wield power. But remember, every power comes at an enormous cost." A sudden crash echoed from a distance outside, like thunder rolling in. Ethan's heart raced. It sounded like something huge was coming, crashing through reality. "Here they come," the woman said, her smile widening. "The Watchers are near, and they do not give mercy." From the depths of the library, Ethan felt a pull toward the book again, the words calling to him like a siren's song. Did he dare dive deeper? "Everything is at stake, Ethan," Sarah shouted. "You need to decide, will you face this, or run?" Ethan's mind raced. Could he really face whatever was coming? The name she had mentioned, the Watchers, stroked an ancient fear that coursed through his blood. But what could he grab from the shadows lurking around power, or just a ticket to his doom? "I don't want to lose you," he said, turning to Sarah. "What if I let them in? What if it destroys you?" "I won't let that happen," she replied fiercely, stepping closer. The shadows pulsed, sensing their turmoil, seething and preparing to strike. "Together, we can figure this out. I believe in you. You have to believe in yourself." But the words felt shaky in the wake of impending doom. The amulet strung around his neck, an echo of the power he didn't understand, burned a fiery imprint against his chest. The woman's eyes were locked on him, knowing, waiting. "Time's running out, Ethan," she taunted, the shadows behind her swirling ominously. "What choice will you make?" Ethan's chest tightened. The choice loomed before him, heavy as lead. Embrace the knowledge or watch everything crumble away. He felt the first tremors of the approaching storm reverberate beneath his feet. He looked back at Sarah, determination igniting in his gut. "Okay, I'll face it. But we confront it together." A guttural laugh erupted from the woman, one that chilled him to the bone. "Then let the reckoning begin." The book in his hands pulsed fiercely as a dark gale swept through the room. Suddenly, the lights flickered wildly, and Ethan turned around just in time to see shadows coalesce into figures, their eyes glowing with eerie light. They were here. "Will you rise from the ashes, or will you fall into oblivion?" she hissed, and just like that, the line between fate and choice blurred into chaos. "Ethan, behind you," Sarah shouted, panic-laced urgency filling the air, and as the darkness surged, ready to envelop them both, Ethan felt one last shattering realization. What if the truth behind the book was even more dangerous than the nightmare waiting to devour them? The storm was here. Would he stand and fight, or would he unleash the terror they'd only just begun to comprehend? Ethan's heart raced as the shadows grew thick and alive, collapsing inward like a predatory beast. The figures materializing from the darkness were grotesque and looming, their features obscured by the shifting gloom. Eerie whispers fluttered through the air, gibbering like restless spirits. "Ethan, do something," Sarah shouted, pulling him back from the abyss where despair threatened to swallow him whole. That he swallowed hard, the weight of the book growing heavier in his hands. The words inscribed on the pages seemed to writhe under his touch, full of secrets and power. As a larger silhouette extended a clawed hand toward him, something in him snapped. His fear ignited into determination. "Get to the center of the room," he shouted. "We need to rally together." Clutching Sarah's arm, they darted away from the encroaching shadows, pressing toward the center of the library. The woman's laughter echoed, a chilling lullaby that twisted his guts. She glided effortlessly past the coiling darkness, a demonic conductor summoning her orchestra. "The shadows are merely messengers," she taunted. "All they ask is for you to unlock the true potential within that book. Will you accept the power to rewrite your fate?" Ethan hesitated. What did rewrite your fate even mean? He didn't want to tamper with the unknown, but he had no choice. It was either this or being consumed by the dark. "What is happening if I do?" he demanded, trying to steady his voice against the rising chaos. "What is the cost of your power?" "Oh, Ethan," she purred, seduction lacing her voice. "Power comes with its prizes. But to understand that cost, you need to confront the truth inside the pages. Are you afraid of what you might find?" A surge of anger propelled him forward. "Afraid? No. I'm terrified. But I'd rather face that than let you or your minions take us." The shadows erupted in fury, swirling like a tempest, and from the surge emerged a creature of flickering darkness, its face an amalgamation of every fear he had ever known. It reached for him, tendrils of shadow lashing like whips, scraping against his skin as they sought an entry point for despair. "Hold on to me," Sarah yelled, squeezing his hand tightly. The shared determination coursed between them, a lifeline amid the turmoil. They stood their ground, united in their defiance. "Whatever happens, we're in this together," Ethan started, and before he could finish, he released his grip on the book. Feeling the pull of the shadows dominating his thoughts, in that moment of hesitation, the shadows pressed in tighter, edging closer like wolves stalking their prey. Ethan was suffocating, dread clawing at his throat. But then he caught a glint of light in Sarah's eyes, a spark that reminded him why he fought. The book reverberated with a low hum, igniting something deep inside him, urging him to make a choice. "I will confront it," Ethan shouted, breath clouding with determination. "I will take on this power." With a fierce resolve, he reached for the book again, letting its ancient magic ignite throughout his body. The figures paused, and silence settled in like a weight confusion etched across their ghastly faces. The woman recoiled, her expression faltering as the walls of the library trembled, responding to his commitment. "No," she roared, twisting her hands in frustration. "You cannot summon that power." But it was too late. The shadows rippled at Ethan's command, aligning with his will. They morphed into shapes, weapons, shields, protection, and as the shadows obeyed, a burst of energy radiated from Ethan, sending shockwaves through the claustrophobia of fear. The book opened wide, the pages fluttering like wings, revealing cryptic symbols that lit up the room with an otherworldly glow. The figures shrank back, fear creeping across their monstrous faces. As the storm thrummed with electricity, a sense of empowerment surged through Ethan. It was intoxicating and terrifying all at once. But before he could fully grasp the extent of his newfound power, the shadows began to react violently. The air was charged, thick with chaos. And without warning, the ground beneath them cracked open. "Ethan!" Sarah shouted, her voice a threat of panic. And as the library screamed, imprisoning them in this dizzying spiral of darkness and flickering light, Ethan faced the brink of revelation and destruction. Would the true nature of his gift save them? Or would it plunge them both into a deeper nightmare? For a fleeting moment, he felt the warmth of hope, but it was overshadowed by an even darker truth. Whatever he had unleashed could very well lead them to their end. What terrible secrets lay hidden within the fabric of that book? Only the unfolding chaos would reveal the answers. The ground shook violently beneath their feet, and Ethan stumbled, nearly losing his balance. Sarah gripped his arm tighter, her eyes wide with fear. The swirling shadows pressed in all around them, their whispers rising in a crescendo that filled the library like a malevolent soundtrack to their impending doom. "Ethan, we need to get out of here," she cried, panic spilling into her voice. But as she spoke, the air grew thick, pressing down on them like a great weight. Their escape routes seemed to vanish, swallowed by the darkness creeping ever closer. Panic clawed at the back of Ethan's mind. The book still hummed in his hands, a pulsing heartbeat of magic that felt both comforting and terrifying. We can't. Not yet. His voice came out stronger than he felt. If he was going to rewrite their fate, he had to tap into the power surging through him. Ethan, Sarah said again, this time sharper, desperation aching in every syllable. You don't know what you're dealing with. But there was a fire in his chest, a thrilling rush of control. He could feel the shadows reacting to his thoughts, almost eager to obey. We don't have time to back down. With a deep breath, Ethan closed his eyes, letting the energy from the book infuse his body. Words began to echo inside his mind, ancient phrases woven into the very fabric of creation. Each word felt like a key, unlocking something deep within him. Then it struck him, a memory from the past, buried under layers of ordinary life. A family story, half remembered. In the right hands, this power can save. The thought trailed off, hazy but significant. What if he could save Sarah? What if he could save them both? Listen to me, he yelled, opening his eyes wide. I'm going to fight them. I want to let them win. A wave of energy surged as he focused, intertwining with the shadows, turning terror into strength. Suddenly, the library exploded with blinding light, illuminating every corner filled with darkness and despair. The grotesque figures shrieked in unison, their twisted forms quaking as though they felt the power of the light. But amidst the roar, a deeper voice, one that resonated in Ethan's bones, whispered through the chaos. You dare meddle with forces beyond your understanding? You think your light can dispel the darkness? Before he could respond, a massive shadow surged toward him, taking the form of a massive beast, part human, part nightmare. It lunged at Ethan and Sarah, fangs bared, its breath like a cold wind. Ethan felt a primal fear rise within him, but he pushed it aside, determined not to let it take hold. Now, he shouted at Sarah, raising a protective barrier formed from the shadows themselves, fighting their master's will. Help me. Sarah didn't even hesitate. Together, she affirmed, her voice steadying him. In unison, they conjured a shining shield of light and shadow, the two forces clashing together to create a temporary bastion against the chaos. The beast lunged, and their shield held just. But the pressure was immense, vibrations rattling every bone in Ethan's body. Sweat dripped from his brow as he struggled against the exertion of channeling such power. Can you feel it? He asked Sarah. We're doing it. We're fighting back. Yet the shadows were relentless. They coiled around them, slipping through the tiniest cracks in their defenses, sending icy tendrils creeping toward their hearts. We have to do more, Sarah shouted, the fear in her eyes matching Ethan's. But before he could respond, the dark woman, the one who had taunted him before, re-emerged from the gloom, her laughter slicing through the air, mingling with the roars of the beast. You think you can defeat me with a flicker of light? You know nothing of power, nor its price. As she advanced, shadows swirling around her like a storm, Ethan could feel the tension in the air shift. The delicate balance of their protective barrier wavered, the darkness pressing in relentlessly. Ethan, Sarah cried, but her voice faded into the cacophony surrounding them. There was no time for doubt. In that split second, Ethan knew he had to make a choice to protect Sarah and himself. He had to dive deeper into the book's secrets. But what would that cost? With the fate of the library and maybe even their lives hanging in the balance, he reached back for the tome, prepared to uncover its darkest truths. What lay hidden within its pages, and would unlocking those truths grant them victory or doom them both to eternal darkness? Ethan felt the shadows swirl around him, pulling at his thoughts, whispering doubts and dark promises. The air crackled dangerously, and time seemed to stretch as he faced the immense decision before him. He closed his eyes, drawing the candle's soft light into his spirit, gripping the Book of Enoch tighter. The whispers rose in shrill chaos, a blend of terror, memory, and exhilaration. I can't just stand here, he yelled, eyes snapping open. I have to know what I'm fighting against. Sarah's gaze bore into him, pleading for understanding. Ethan, don't let the book control you. We have to keep our wits about us. The urgency in her voice broke through the haze of fear, reminding him that they were in this together. But as the shadows coiled closer, the weight of the book pulsed against his chest, urging him towards the abyss. The dark woman hovered before him, her wicked smile a challenge. You think knowledge can shield you? She mocked. Come, let us see what you truly desire. Ethan inhaled sharply, recalling those fleeting memories of warmth and laughter, his family, Sarah, everything he fought for. If I must face this darkness, he said, his voice growing stronger, I will do it on my own terms. Not as a victim, but as a warrior. With newfound resolve, he opened the Book of Enoch, and in an instant, the library transformed. The swirling shadows froze. Time itself felt suspended. Ethan felt a surge of power emanate from the pages, ancient verses whispering secrets of creation and ruin, truths that split the very fabric of light and shadow. The warmth of the light encased him, illuminating the fear on Sarah's face as clarity flushed through the chaos. Together, he shouted, summoning her strength as well. We can harness this. And just like that, the air shifted. A wave of brilliance erupted from the book, flooding the library with blinding light that washed over everything like a cleansing tide. The shadows shrieked, recoiling from the radiant glow. For the first time, they displayed fear and emotion they had imposed upon others, now turned back on them. Now, Sarah, focus, he called out, feeling the crescendo of power rise. With every ounce of determination, they conjured a barrier of pure light, weaving shadows of protection around them. Together, the light of truth clashed against the encroaching darkness. Do not let them take you, Sarah urged, her voice a beacon amidst the storm. Ethan's heart raced, fueled by the bond between them. As the serpent-like shadows lunged, the combined force of their will sent the dark figures spiraling back. You've underestimated us, he roared, channeling everything the book had revealed. The dark woman's expression twisted with rage. This is not over. You will pay the price. Taking a deep breath, Ethan faced her. We won't let you dictate our fate any longer. He unleashed the full potency of the book, summoning a blinding light that surged forward, crashing against her turbulent darkness. It feasted on despair, illuminating hidden choices, and urging Ethan to steer a new course. As light swallowed shadow. A deafening roar filled the library, the clash of creation against destruction. The library trembled as the ground split open, pulling shadows into a swirling abyss while the light stabilized their surroundings, forming a barrier. It's working, Sarah shouted, starry-eyed with hope. Keep pushing forward. But he could feel the darkness fighting back. It wasn't enough. Just as he feared they were losing ground, memories of all he loved flooded his mind. Faith, love, friendship, and within that swell of emotion, a final realization bloomed. Knowledge wasn't merely power, it was a connection. This isn't just about strength. It's about unity. Ethan shouted, drawing both his and Sarah's energies together. Everyone deserves to share in this knowledge. The Book of Enoch throbbed wildly in his hands, amplifying his conviction. As if sensing his new motivation, the book opened even wider, revealing ancient truths that resonated with humanity's core. With that insight, Ethan gathered all his strength, and the light exploded outward, a shockwave pulsating through the library. In one magnificent moment, the book emanated beams of understanding and compassion into the void, shattering the chains that bound the shadows. For the first time, he felt the heavy grip of destiny slip away. The dark woman wailed in horror, shadows spiraling around her as they clawed at the bright light. No, you cannot escape your fate, she screamed, but Ethan was no longer afraid. In that climactic crescendo, Ethan watched as the shadows imploded, forced into a vortex that rumbled beneath their feet. The power of unity pushed away the darkness, making way for a renewed future filled with hope. The echoes of screams faded, both of rage and despair, until silence enveloped them. Trembling, Ethan looked around as the oppressive weight lifted. Darkness receded, leaving behind a sense of liberation. The library transformed, its walls aglow and shelves rearranged, books still and silent, reverberating with the power of shared truths. We did it, Sarah breathed, mingling with relief. Yeah, we did, he replied, feeling the warmth of her presence beside him. As they faced the newfound emptiness, the Book of Enoch lay quietly in his hands, no longer a doorway to chaos, but a wellspring of knowledge to be shared with those willing to learn. Let us take this out into the world, Ethan proposed, knowing the truth should no longer be hidden. They could change perceptions and beliefs. They could inspire others to see the light amongst the shadows. With a shared smile, they turned toward the now open door of the library, a horizon filled with potential awaiting just beyond. Together, they stepped into the sunlight, ready to embrace the adventures that lay ahead. Remember, the world outside needs your courage, conviction, and love. If you found this journey compelling, then you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss any of our exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. It really makes a difference. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Let's connect and explore together. Finally, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this epic conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. Your support is what drives this community onward.